This feels strange to me.
Yeah, I hear you. We're back. Shed talks.
I don't know why recently. Is this just me? I felt a lot more emotional as a person. Not continuously. I don't wake up every day and have really strong emotion. In fact, it's quite the opposite, I think. I try and remove emotion from a lot of my decisions throughout the day so I
Mm.
can be a bit more efficient. But when I take a minute and just even sit with my friends
Yeah,
or family, or it's a Monday or morning or something, and I'm not doing a job that I hate,
yeah,
and I feel like I'm close. I don't know, I feel quite
yeah.
emotional
I get you.
recently.
Sometimes I have like swings and roundabouts. Like obviously you have a bad day. Yeah, I'll pop one of those.
Chuck a biscuit in.
Little party.
Science in sport.
That's it. Yeah, sometimes I have like up and down days. Do you know what I mean? But then like I'll literally be at top team some days. Say it's a Tuesday. I'm looking around and there's like 30 of the best fighters in the country. I'm like, we're all here on a Tuesday morning and it's 11:30 and we've got like great work in for the day. People are like waiting for their lunch break, you know what I mean?
Mm.
They're eating their sandwich early through boredom and I'm just here with like the most killers in the country. So it's great, especially if I work a little bit before top team. I'll go work in the morning, earn a bit of money, go train, go work again.
Mm.
Sometimes I'm done by like 4 or I've made content and I'm like, this is fucking. It's hard to. It's easy to lose track of it when you do it for a sustained period of time. It becomes your new normal. Do you know what I'm saying? But you gotta keep a cap on the gratitude, definitely.
When we were just setting this up, Oscar is sick of me saying this because I say it to him all the time, but I like to just write every now and again when I can. If I'm on the beach or if I'm just at home and I've come back from a long trip or something, I like to write. And I wrote one line once and it always sticks with me. I just said it to you. I squint my eyes when looking at my own reality,
Yeah,
right? If someone turned to you and went, "Oh, are you a professional fighter? Are you fighting the UFC?" Your answer would be no.
yeah,
But when you squint your eyes and you realize you wake up, you train with those guys,
yeah,
you get to be coached by the best team in the world or one of the best teams in the world and some of the best coaches. You then get to teach the sport, earn money that way,
yeah.
hang out with your mates, come back, create content, and then leverage that. And it sounds fun and exciting, and it is, but it comes with a graft on the back end of
Yeah,
it.
it's still work, and I hustled for this lifestyle. That commute from Essex to here every day, I was like to the point of like nearly like passing out some days through like pure. I had to go to my car and legit sleep, and it's not a sob story. Like I was homeless, I was sleeping in my car. I was just so tired that it weren't worth me. By the time I'd go home, I'd have to come straight back, and I need a nap. Like I actually just need to nap. My eyes are
And
shutting
you can
mid. I
sleep.
can sleep anywhere. Punch shield. It was actually a punch shield, like like the boxing ones. I use that as a pillow.
That's pretty comfortable
Yeah,
though.
as pillows go.
That's
As
actually
pillows go.
slightly underrated. For people that don't know, give a little insight onto this journey because although it sounds like a small detail, right? I think this often, no matter the job, no matter if it's an athlete, no matter if it's someone working an account job, if you have to commute 4 hours, for example, of the
Yeah.
day, the older you get, you realize it's cliche, but how valuable an hour is or
Oh
two
my god.
hour is. And then when you take 4 out of the day, compound that by five, 20 a week,
Yeah.
that's insane. And then you had to train that as well because I remember I used to go to train and I used to think, I'm knackered, I feel a bit nauseous on this 2 hour train journey.
Yeah.
At least I'm not having to fight someone right now.
Yeah. Yeah. That's another part of it, right? It affects your training. It's yeah, it's a grind, and I hustled for this lifestyle. I'd do shifts where I'd finish at sort of like 8, which doesn't sound that bad, but I'm realistically home by 11. I'm back in the gym at 7, working the desk or doing that one PT to earn like 40 quid at the time. But that's enough to put fucking petrol in my car for the week. I'm living at home for nothing. So I hustled for it, and then like the more you just put that out, I think it all repays you. Someone's like, oh, there's a new kickboxing job at this gym. Oh, the coach has gone from this gym. Come teach here. Now I've got set money. That's like hourly
Mm.
work essentially, right? That's all year round. I'm like, cool. That's my base. Now, oh, can we train? Can we train? Can we train? I'm like, yeah, we can train, and it just builds and builds and builds. So I hustled for it 100%, and like I wouldn't be here without the right people around me, like telling me like get off the desk, come full time coaching. Like you can earn money from this, and now I can earn what I would have in a whole shift in the desk in the morning, then go to top team, you know. So
Is that what you've started doing?
yeah. I haven't worked on. I used to work at reception in the gym. I haven't worked on the desk for years, but that's where I started. That got me into the gym, and then I'll cover this class. I'll do
Get your
this,
foot
do
in.
that. Yeah, 100%. And I was at uni at the time. I needed the money, and there's worse jobs, you know. Like I'm in a gym where everyone's getting after it, and I'm in that environment, you know.
I actually think it's good that you brought that up because I was saying this yesterday. I actually think this is super important. I was mentioning this in the context of MMA media, right? Because people get into this space and they think, I want to go to the UFC, I want to interview all the UFC fighters, and I want to go straight there. And that's the pie, right? That's the big slice, that's the cherry on the top, right? But what people don't realize is there's actually a lot of utility to peeling back a couple of layers, getting your foot in the door, understanding some people behind the scenes and getting to know people and getting your job on reception
Yeah.
or linking up with someone that works at the
Another
MMA
gym,
space
yeah.
once or whatnot, getting to know them a little bit. I'm glad that you said that. With your personal training, now you say it, I actually forgot that stage when you were on the desk and you were just doing it a shift here or there.
Yeah.
What was the point when you sort of thought, because I know what this feeling's like doing the personal training, what was the shift when it was, okay, I'll do this full time and I'm just going to make that my full time income?
Yeah, so having the right people around me, being like, you need to go full time personal training. I'd have to sometimes cancel sessions to work on the desk. So I was like, look, this is going to be my last month on the desk. I want to do some more classes. And like, to be fair, shout out Elevate. Like that's home for me. Like they fully supported that and nurtured that. You know, they were like, yeah, like you're here every day training. You're one of our own. Do you know what I mean? We want to build you up and make it to a point where you're doing classes and you're doing the PTs and you've got you're in the gym. You know what I mean? So I can't thank them enough. Really, that will always be my home. I do a lot of my training at Top Team, but Elevate Richmond will always be home.
When you finished, I've never asked you this either, to be honest. When you finished the day before and it was about 4 p.m., I know now you create content,
Yeah.
and once you get the bug for it, you know there's no second in life, realistically, that you're awake that you couldn't maximize a little bit.
You can do some.
At least now, right?
Yeah.
As soon as you hit the media sphere in any
Always
which
something to
way.
do.
If you run a small bakery company that has an Instagram, if you run a media outlet for flipping a magazine which is about hip hop and there's always something you can do. A reply you can make, a video idea you can draft up. What do you do with your time before you started getting back into the content?
I would literally just train, watch YouTube. I always watch content. Oh no, malfunction. Oh. I would train, I would watch content, and then to be honest with you, I would always finish pretty late, so I just... That's not going to go.
Nah.
Yeah, I would train, I would watch content, I would watch fights, and then just I'd be so tired, it'd be like around time to go to bed and do it all again tomorrow, you know?
What now?
What do I do now? Content, definitely. I'll come home, and there's, like you said, there's always something that I can crack on with, and I love it. I love the creative outlet. I love flexing that creative muscle. I'll drive in my car, and I'll be thinking, oh, I could do this, I could do that, oh, yeah, I could do this, oh, that could work with that. Always when I'm driving my car is when I feel like my most creative thoughts come to me. So when I was still doing content when I was commuting from here to Richmond, but it suffered a bit because I couldn't give it my full attention, but there was always something I could create and just keep putting something out there. And you know what it's like, you do it, and then your content can take a almost different turn. You know, like I didn't actually think that I'd be showing people this part of my life, but people seem to enjoy it. So all right, cool,
100%.
let's do that. So but like none of that happens unless you've got that consistency. It underpins it all, right? I wouldn't have known that people would have liked that unless I kept poking the bear.
I find it interesting, right? Because you had that bug and you had that rep consistency the same way that, and I'm only drawing it back to myself with this just because obviously we've shared all these experiences. For people that don't know, we've obviously known each other since 13, right? Or something
Younger,
along that.
maybe like 11
11 years old, crazy. So that's 16 years, right?
No.
Of circles and whatnot, of different relationships, different habits, different stages of our life.
Different versions of myself, particularly me.
Yeah. So many.
Yeah.
Because you think we were going to the gym
Yeah.
very young, right?
Yeah, we were probably like 15.
Super young.
Just bashing out biceps on a Thursday night.
I was watching this footage back yesterday. It was late at night and I was just editing, and I had a lot of different videos that I wanted to create, and I was just smashing through them, and I was looking through the London files, and I'm so glad that you got to be around UFC London a little bit more than I saw you probably in Macau, because that was a different...
Yeah, you were...
Yeah, and that was just a completely different sort of setup and vibe, but I got to see you a lot throughout the week, which was cool, because I saw that video of us working out in the gym in the Fighters Hotel when you were just filming it. It was me, you and Paul, Softpot.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was watching that back and I was thinking, this is so funny, because people are going to see this with you in it and people will see it through your content. But what people won't see is the fact that we've been doing this for the last 15 years. And then in regards to the media, we've been doing this for 5 years.
Yeah.
This is, people don't realise, this is where it came together. That's why I wanted to get this back up. I know I haven't even introed it, or I just wanted to roll into it because
let it fly.
We were sitting there yesterday. We're watching the fights and we're chatting on a Sunday evening like we do, just with all of the boys, and that's when we get good ideas as well. And I think we always brainstorm well.
That's always healthy, I feel like, for creating. But we could do this or we could do that. I do like that. I enjoy
But
that.
also, it's on a Sunday evening. We've just had dinner. You know, I've come around in the evening. Oscar's usually here. The boys are here. Your mum's here. Your dad's here. And it's a nice, peaceful environment as well. So I think it just creates a good environment for us to bounce ideas off. And we was looking through your YouTube from 4 years ago. And I actually didn't realise how many episodes we actually did of Shed Talks.
Yeah.
That did decent views.
Yeah. What's the stat? It's, I was on a pod the other day. Shout out, Squeeze the Neck. And it's like you have to get past your first 20 episodes to like have a statistical chance of creating a big podcast. Not many people get past 20 episodes, and we didn't, but we're gonna.
It's something along the lines of 97%. I'm just making things up. Don't get past the first 20 episodes, right?
Like that,
And you know as well as I do, and not to just throw out cringy cliches, but it is true. And you learn it you learn it through whatever discipline you pick up, right? We learned it through fitness.
Yeah.
If you don't stop, it doesn't end. The journey is not finite, right?
Yeah.
So you just continue.
Just show up.
You literally just show up, and it may look even a little bit bleak for a year. This is coming back to when we both fell out of fitness.
Yeah.
I went straight into bodybuilding workout, and then I was eating crazy calories. You went to uni and just
full debauchery rock star.
Tell me about that. I actually found that mad from your perspective. I never really asked you properly.
Yeah, so I went to uni and realised pretty quick that there weren't too many rules.
Yeah.
So I remember like not going to a 9 a.m. lecture and thinking, well, no one's knocking at my door and making me come, so what? I just don't have to go. And I was like, this seems good. And then I was like, we're going out tonight, do you want to come? I was like, yeah. Sit in my room. And I just sort of like...
When you put it like that, it's stupid, right? Yeah. And people are listening and they're thinking, well, yeah, obviously. But then you actually think about what that is like.
It's a holiday camp.
It is. That's what I always call it.
With education on the side. And yeah, then obviously I was playing rugby at the time, so the culture of that is heavily drinking. And then I always felt the need, sometimes subconsciously or out of my control, to be the crazy one.
Yeah.
That's why I don't drink much anymore, because I am the type of person you'll wake up in the morning and be like, oh, you know, you did this, by the way. And I'm just like, why do I have to do that? Why have I got to do that? We have friends that also get drunk, but they're just a bit like, ugh. And they're fine. They're just drunk. But, like, they don't do outrageous things. I'm just like, oh, yeah, I'll do this. Oh, yeah, I'll tell a guy in the urinal that he's got a tiny penis. I've done that, like, many times.
It was me.
Yeah, it was actually in the mirror.
Just
tears streaming down my eyes. Yeah, so that was just a vicious cycle of going out, drinking, recovering, and then doing it again maybe on the Friday.
I know this may sound like a stupid question because I think it's probably obvious, but what was the difference for you when you actually went to uni? The reason I say that is because when we were younger, we were still doing those
Yeah,
things really. Maybe obviously not as often, but it wasn't as if we weren't doing those things. We were still, we said yesterday, we
yeah,
were at a house party every
yeah.
single week
We went out a lot, and I
since
was
we were 15 to 18.
yeah, and I was still on top of it with sports. I'm not sure really. Moderation's always something I've struggled with.
True.
Always. I'm either all in or yeah. Exhibit A. Where's Exhibit B? Exhibit B. I'm either all in or all out. You know. Yeah, yeah. I've committed. I'm here.
We're both respectively compulsive.
Yeah, yeah. And I know that about myself. So I don't bet. I don't gamble. I don't really do anything that's bad necessarily because I know if I like it, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this. Even like someone offered me some weed the other day, and I don't smoke weed for those that are wondering. It's just not good for me. I get paranoid. But if I tried it, I'm like, oh, this is all right. I feel chilled and relaxed. Every evening, I'm going to be like, oh, I want to do that now.
Yeah.
So I have a good pulse on it in the sense of I know my strengths and weaknesses. You know, I don't want to try it. I don't want to do it because if I do like it, I'm going to do it loads.
I actually think that's one thing. I've said this to you, I've said this to your mum, that I've found the most impressive over time from you, from knowing you so long, is your ability now to be able to self moderate and
Yeah.
to be self aware enough to know, you know what, I know where my limitations are.
Yeah.
Sam's done a lot better at that as
Yeah,
well
yeah,
with his
we're
drinking.
both up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because you were both in
yeah,
your respective ways at the extreme end of that
yeah,
with no self moderation.
yeah,
So now you're at a point where you sort of
yeah, definitely. And like speaking about it, like concept wise and putting it out there is helping people. I had someone message me like a week ago, said like they're not an alcoholic, and neither was I. I never want to claim that I was an alcoholic. I was just an idiot
no,
when I did drink. You know.
you just binge
Yeah,
drink
just binge drink.
as a teenager at university.
Yeah, yeah. It was never like a problem in my life. But that being said, it was so ingrained in my habits, my social circles. There was a point where I was like, how do I stop this?
Mm.
Everyone's going out every Wednesday. Obviously, I was at uni and these are all my friends. Or I'm playing rugby and every Saturday, do you want a beer? And after a hard game, yeah, I do want a beer. But it's never one beer.
Yeah.
It's just not. For me, anyway. Some people can do it.
We don't.
I don't.
Yeah,
There's no point
we
having
don't
one beer for
do
me.
that.
Like, what is the point? But, like,
I'm there to get drunk
yeah.
or not.
Yeah. Oh, I love the taste of this pissy drink.
No.
Like,
I'd rather have a Robinson's with a Sports Insider
100%.
electrolyte
Yeah.
than a pint. I
Foster's as
just
well.
would.
Yeah.
That's the honest reality of it, right? A nice frosty beverage.
Yeah.
I've started fucking with electrolytes, and I
Yeah.
don't even swear, but
Health
I
kick. Health
start implementing electrolytes
Yeah.
every single morning. I've never done that before because I've A, been a person that's always been dehydrated. I've known this about myself.
Yeah.
And B, never someone who drank electrolytes because they always taste of salt.
Yeah.
But these ones actually taste like berries.
Yeah, they're good.
And it's a good brand.
Yeah.
I crack one of those in the morning when I wake up.
Before coffee, before caffeine.
I'll tell you my full morning
Go on, hit
routine.
me.
Because you know I've never been an organised person. But now,
Yeah, you're a lot.
as we're re-identifying, right? You're re-identifying as someone who didn't
Yeah.
do X, Y, Z. I had to try and do the same. I was always a very non-punctual person, and I was never organised, ever
Yeah.
organised. So I had to address that, and it took years. It's taken about 20 years
Yeah,
plus.
but we're here.
I'm actually not kidding,
No,
and I'm not even
I'm in the same
perfected
boat,
it.
yeah.
I've just about got a to-do list, and I've got a schedule for my assistant now, which
Yeah.
I'd never had before,
Yeah.
right? And I'd never been ahead of the game like that. But regardless about the morning, so I'll wake up, I'll just sort a little bit of work that I have to do in the morning. And some people say, oh, don't got any phone. I get that, and I don't even necessarily
Yeah.
disagree with that. Also, I've got to run a business, and I don't find that stressful. It doesn't stress me. It
No,
doesn't give me
I wanna
anxiety.
do that.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I've just got to send an email
I
to
don't
my
do that, no
assistant. I've
problem.
got to take it. It's like that's not a problem for me. But the only problem is like I don't want to. I spend too long. I do want to get out of bed within 10 minutes. I'll then go hit a workout. First thing, I'll just get a resistance
Just get the blood
workout
flowing.
in. Yeah,
Yeah.
for about honestly, I'm not even kidding. I'll be real, which is very different to other parts of my life. I just do as much as I want to do that day, and I don't do a second more. Some days I have a bigger push, some days I don't.
Something's always better than nothing.
I always think that. And
100%.
that's a million miles away from when I used to train twice a day. But I know how to
You know,
build the love
yeah.
again, you know?
It's knowing yourself 100%, because you don't want to be a bodybuilder.
No.
Like, that time and
No.
energy can be put so much into things that are more important to you, you know? Like, looking big's cool, but, like, we both got caught in the trap of not being bodybuilders, but going to the gym and
100%
trying
we
to get
did.
bigger.
No,
right?
we did.
Yeah.
We trained.
To get bigger. Like bodybuilders.
We trained like a bodybuilder.
Yeah.
You ate like a bodybuilder.
Yeah, yeah.
I did bodybuilder cuts.
Yeah, you did.
You know?
You did. You were doing 2 sessions a day at one
That I
point,
was doing
yeah.
2 sessions a day and
remember that.
dehydration cuts.
And you was working up the city.
And I was working up London.
Everything meal prepped.
And I was dialed in with meal preparation
Yeah.
and over consuming calories because I'd been skinny my whole
You can
life.
eat, though. You can eat.
I can, but I
Yeah.
actually don't like eating to those quantities because I was just trying to eat whole foods.
The novelty of it soon wears off when you're on like a 4
Of course,
5K
right?
calorie bulk.
And people, I understand, will listen and think, "Oh, I'd love that." Yeah, it's always those people,
do that
right?
for 4 days straight.
It's not that easy, and even if you found it easy, I don't enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's like irrelevant,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But I got caught in that, and then to a point where I'd always been skinny my whole life, and all of a sudden I was 96 kilos,
Yeah, and you're like, Jesus.
and I was going to the gym twice a day.
Yeah.
That was just combating how much I was always very verbal about it. I hated the way I looked. Hated
That's
it.
where a lot of it stems from, though, right?
Of course.
And that body dysmorphia in like gym bros, quote unquote, it never goes. I know people that are literal powerlifting competitors, competes at 110 kilos, so he cuts a little bit to get to that. Openly talks about all these steroid use. Monster, like absolute monster, and he's convinced he's small.
I would have, about a year ago, I would have said I 100% agree, because I've always said, oh my goodness, the percentage, this is completely made up, but the percentage of dysmorphia of what I've witnessed within the strong gym community, at least when I was within it, was about 98%.
Yeah,
Like, I'm
yeah,
not even
yeah.
kidding. To some extent, even the people that were maybe sort of out of shape, and even it was maybe still intense like that.
Yeah.
But the reason, go on.
When you're out of that as well, like your goals change. Like when you've got a business to grow or you want to win an MMA fight, your goals change. You're like, I do want to look good,
Yeah.
of course, but I don't want big biceps. I want to get really good at stopping takedowns or taking people down and ground and pound, you know? So
Yeah.
once your objective changes and you've got something more valuable to work on, in your opinion, I think that that helps a lot. Same with the drinking. Like what helped me a lot when I was drinking. Like, once I started training, the drinking was taken away from the training.
Yeah.
And someone messaged me the other day saying, how do I stop drinking? Again, not an alcoholic. And I was like, do you train? He's like, yeah, I'm like a 3-stripe white belt in jiu-jitsu. I'm like, sign up to a jiu-jitsu comp, get that blue belt, go get a gold medal, and don't go out drinking.
Yeah.
That's your goal for the next 3 months.
Yeah.
Get your blue belt and smash all these white belts. And he was like, oh yeah, that's actually really good. And it's good advice. Like it will, if you care about the outcome of something, sports are always good. That drinking takes away from. Or even if I was trying to do content, if I drink, I'm written off the next day. You know, I've not got my creative juices flowing. Nothing's there. So one takes away from the other. So yeah, find something better than. Yo. Yeah.
I did text you and everything.
Oh, sorry, Shay. I
did
didn't have
knock.
my phone with me.
Where is me?
Do you like the setup, Shay?
Huh?
We'll.
No, take your time. I just want to get me stuff.
I like that jacket.
What, do this one?
Yeah, it goes
Yeah.
hard.
I got this from fucking
That actually is a really
It's
nice
Marks and
jacket.
Spencer's.
Nice.
Mate.
You like it? Oh, you take
Fresh.
the
Yeah, I
piss?
love that actually.
No, I'm being serious.
No, because I was
I
so
like
cold
M&S.
when we was in Spain. Mum bought this from the charity shop. I was fucking freezing.
That white top you had on the other day, I think you
That
said,
was
oh,
yours,
as well,
yeah.
man, that would actually go nice with that
What
jacket
white
as well.
I think it's just a Primark t-shirt.
It was nice though.
Yeah,
I
nice
ain't,
fit.
yeah, I ain't, there must be a newer one.
That's brand new, that.
What is that?
I've not seen that.
I've only bought that for I've had it been up for 5 years.
That's a summery number.
I had
Shay,
it on
that.
for an interview in the summer with my company I'm with now. I took it off and I never put it back on again.
What, that's been up there for 5 years?
Respect.
I expect to see that at a,
Fred's
at a
put it on as
barbecue
well
at
for
some
an interview.
point. Has it? That's like doing those Zoom calls and you have to put on like a
Go on.
shirt quick.
I'll see you in a bit.
Nice one, Shay.
How long are you going to be? Not that I'm rushing.
Nah,
now.
not much
too
long.
long.
Maybe
Half
like,
hour?
yeah, half
Yeah.
hour, probably.
Brief hiatus.
You said about what was the last thing that you said? Because you made a good point.
Finding something that is better than drinking, or that the drinking takes away from.
This was it, right? You hit the nail on the head. That was coming back to the body dysmorphia thing.
Yeah.
I would have agreed with you completely up until a year ago. I have realised for me, you said it never completely goes. Honestly, I think for myself, in regards to perception and in regards to the body dysmorphia I 100% always had, just being someone that went to the gym so much, that honestly is completely gone.
Yeah.
My want to still get a bigger chest, I like my arms get bigger, my legs, 100% of course, but my actual
The mindset flips.
the discrepancy between the reality and the actuality is almost identical, because what happens is you get better, well, at least I got better outside of that, at expectation management.
Yeah.
So I would look in the mirror and I would think, well, am I in the best shape that I can be given the circumstances of my life and my priorities and where I want to be and allocate my time? Pretty much. Obviously, I can improve. Sweet.
Yeah.
I'm in the 0.1 percentile of humans that have 2 legs, 2 arms, like in good shape, eat healthily, like crazy.
And you get desensitized if you're one in the gym with absolute monsters, or two, you scroll on TikTok and see a 19-year-old that's like 90 kilos and like fucking shreds, deadlifting like obscene amounts of weight.
You have to think as well, right? In our phones, we are naturally humans that want the most extreme form of everything. That's why we watch the Olympics. That's why we watch the Premier League. That's why we watch the UFC. That's why we watch the catwalks in Paris Fashion Week. We want the best of everything.
Those are my favourite.
But we also want to see the worst, right?
Yeah.
We're a human that just wants the extreme. It's like the problem we have in modern society. There's rarely nuance. People rarely sort of say, okay, let's talk about both. The extreme is always prevalent, right? So with that, I lost my train of thought completely. Well,
We want to see the extreme good and bad with social media. We want to see the worst and the best. The worst and the best.
sorry. So as you're scrolling, typically people are only seeing the 0.0001% of people in whatever that field may be, whether it's fitness, singing, artistry, crafts, pornography, everything, right? So people scroll on TikTok and see someone make this meal and they'll instantly say, I can't cook like that. And they're exposed to an incredible chef that's been culinary trained in Mumbai.
Yeah. He's just on TikTok chefing it up for everyone. Yeah.
It's the same with bodies, right? So we scroll Instagram.
And you're only going to see the ones that get the views, which are the extreme ones.
Of course.
Yeah, you're not going to see Joe Schmo just flexing.
Of course. But what people don't realise is you've spent years personal training. I've spent years personal training and in gyms. That's not the average human.
No.
It isn't the average human.
No, we're desensitized as a society, 100%. You just see outliers everywhere. Like, you wouldn't just see these people walking around, especially with women. Like,
no,
they're like on Instagram, and the porn. Like, it's bad. It's bad. We're desensitized to everything.
We really are.
Yeah.
We really. How do you try and combat that yourself personally?
I try and monitor what I watch to a certain extent. Like with the pornography, I've been up and down, but I did 100 days, which like is common, and it's definitely something to talk about because it is a real problem. I try and scroll past the freaky reels as soon as possible.
Yeah,
because they're out there. Do you know what I mean? There's like it's a crazy world.
It's actually a good point that you said that, because I actually want to say something that I don't think a lot of people think about enough, or the conversation is as strong as it needs to be. You can create on your algorithm. Algorithm is basically us.
Yeah.
We are the algorithm.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like it when people use that word, and I'm not even trying to be pedantic, because it scares people off into thinking it's this crazy
AI robot.
system of technology that's interwoven into society, and it's this crazy algorithm with numbers and X's and O's. No, it's human behavior. It's just us.
Yeah.
Right? It is literally just us. But I lost my train of thought again. I was flipping.
The algorithm's us. The algorithm is us.
Yeah, but it's just a term that I don't love it when people use it because it is just human behaviour. So it's,
Yeah.
if you can get someone to like a video, that's not the algorithm. That will be...
'Cause you wouldn't see it unless
No,
people
that will
wanted
be
to.
human behaviour,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's why I just think it's a bit wild. It really is. I think I do a good job at not consuming.
Yeah. Or something you said to me that was good. As a creator, if you do find yourself consuming, if you are a creator, seek inspiration from the things that you're watching as opposed to just doom scrolling. Just watching, what can you take from that video?
I'll be real with you.
Yeah.
People don't have this conversation now, but I know that you'll be someone that will probably echo this sentiment. Sometimes you just need to bully yourself.
Yeah.
I'm being dead
Yeah,
serious, right? If you're 10, I started this whole thing of just not doom scrolling from the get, and I would just say to myself, you do not scroll more than 10 videos. This is how it started. And I'd say, on the 10th, I'd say, are you that much of a bitch that
Yeah.
you cannot not scroll on a TikTok video again? Get off the app.
Yeah.
It started like that, and then it progressed into what I said to you. You need to be watching these.
Yeah.
It's also work. This is what I realized. I wasn't
Yeah.
watching enough and I was harming myself.
Yeah.
So you have to start allocating time slots. Okay, if I'm doing X, then I can watch, favorite,
Yeah.
and then analyze.
Yeah. And it's also being honest with yourself, right? Like, if you're doing it and you're doom scrolling, you're like, oh no, I'm working right now. Like, it's easy to lie to yourself, right? But you know in your head what you're doing.
It's such a cliche. You cannot lie to yourself.
Yeah.
You know deep down.
You know, when you lie your head on that
You
pillow, you're
know
like,
deep
you
down.
could have done more.
That's the thing, right? People always say, oh no, I could do this or I couldn't do this. And whatever the answer is, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe you're right, maybe you're wrong. Only you know the answer.
Yeah.
That's the thing, right? So people can say to you, oh, I feel like I could do more, in which case they feel like they could anyway. But some people would be like, there's nothing more I could physically do. That may be the case.
Sure.
That
yeah.
actually may be the case. Only they know,
Yeah.
you know?
And it's also, sometimes you don't have to do more, you just have to do things that are more effective, you know?
That's true.
Yeah, like, not just...
What's the biggest breakthrough one you had with that recently? Being more effective with something rather than just upping the quantity of something, maybe.
Yeah, like, instead of, like, putting out 2 videos a day, or 5 videos, sorry, do 2 that are good quality, well edited. Don't just rush to get them out, do you know what I mean? And, like, going through it individually, replying to comments, just staying active on your stories, you know, as you go, not having to think about everything, just organic, bomb, click that, do that, text that person. Replying to text is something I've definitely got a lot better at. I'll just voice note. Because now I've got like a couple online clients, I'm just on the phone, like checking with them, because it's all good, all well and good, like, oh, I need more online clients, but like, you have some. So nurture the ones you've got, get results, and then it will come off the back of that.
100%. That's actually, that's a gem. People, we need to stick on this actually for a little bit longer. Anyone in the industry where you deal with clients, whether it be a consultancy, which is something I'm leaning a little bit more into now, whether it be with personal training clients on the floor or online, people always want more. Nurture the ones you've got and treat them like they're the only ones you have and they're the most important in the world, and everything else will come on the back end of
the
that.
results will speak for itself.
Yeah, you just do the best job that you can possibly do for them.
Yeah.
It's actually a good point that you said that.
And if you just keep putting stuff out there, eventually, in my opinion, it works out. I believe in that, definitely. Just keep plugging away, and eventually it will work out. Like we were saying the other day, become undeniable. Just keep doing what you're doing. If you don't stop, you don't fail. Cliche as fuck, but it's like, I'm at a point now where if I'm not doing everything I need to do in a day, I just feel so weird. I just feel like, you haven't done that. Why have you not done that? Like, it's do it to a point where you can't not do it. You feel pissed at yourself if you don't. Like, how have you not done that? I've got it on my little whiteboard. Everything I need to do in a day. I need to train. I need to create content. I need to check in with my clients. I need to hit my protein goals. That gets ticked every single day. 2 days a week lift. That gets ticked every day.
That's the platform to build off.
Yeah.
Boom. 4 things every day.
Yeah.
I can tell you nothing else about those days in 2 weeks, but I'll tell you one thing. I'm getting my protein.
Yeah.
I'm getting my clients. I'm getting a workout in.
Yeah.
and I'm getting my content done.
Yeah, that underpins your day.
Boom, foundation.
Yeah, a checklist definitely helps, and it's different for different people, right? But for me, I was like, yeah, I need to just do that. Right now, I can relax. I can't relax if I haven't.
The
Nice click. Hope the mic's caught that.
Honestly, I've had to stop doing that
Really?
because they got too crazy.
Yeah, mine's.
I'm not even kidding. That one wasn't that wild, but I've stopped it recently because they've got too crazy, and I've been doing them, and they scared me.
Great content. Mic yourself up.
Yeah, I can't even.
Give the people what they want.
You know, I'll be real. Not even to be too dramatic. I know someone at the moment, and shout out actually, Stella K. She creates content for Playboy, I believe, and MMA content. It's called Sports Bimbo. She's a really nice girl, actually. She's a plus size model in Las Vegas, I think, something along those lines. But she has a podcast. She's a really nice girl, but she got a spiral injury from a car crash. And I actually think it's kind of incredible because she documented the whole journey, and I'm thinking fair play to her because it is a bad spinal injury in a wheelchair, not knowing if she'll be able to walk again. But the way that she's handling the whole process, I just find super impressive. When you see it a little bit closer to you, I just think,
yeah, you're taking people with you on that journey.
yeah,
At your lowest.
and I find that super impressive first and foremost. But it made me think about my spinal health more.
Yeah.
And when I was hearing these noises, honestly, it was getting to a level where I hadn't heard anything like that
Yeah.
from a human body. And I thought,
Pops and bangs.
that may not be awful, but it don't sound great.
Doesn't sound optimal. I don't really click that much, to be fair. My neck. Sometimes.
What were you saying just before that?
Yeah.
You touched on something.
Make content, clicking your neck.
No, it was just before that. You mentioned something, and it was
To-do
true.
list. Tick that box each day. Stay consistent. I get my protein. I try and get my sleep. Sleep is another thing I need to get better. My sleep hygiene.
What's it like at the moment?
It's not bad. It definitely could be better.
What's your full process?
So I used to take melatonin quite a bit, but I've run out of that, and I didn't want to get reliant on it, so I stopped for a little bit.
Good idea.
Sometimes, excuse me. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night, or I wake up earlier than I need to be up, and I go back to sleep, and I just feel.
The double sleep's
Double
not
sleep
great.
gets you,
I've
yeah.
always been a double sleeper, and now I look at it and I think I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
That's what I was. I'm not a
handicapping
double sleeper.
myself,
I was
yeah.
an idiot, but I struggled because I kept waking up anyway, so I was
Yeah.
naturally like that.
Yeah, and you tell yourself you need more sleep, but you'd actually be better off getting up.
Mate, some days, I'm not even kidding, I'd hit a 5:30 alarm
Yeah.
for a 7:40 get up,
Yeah.
just because I wanted to feel like I had a double sleep.
Yeah.
Did you do that? Or was that just me?
No, I get up, like, say I've got to be up at 7, I'll be up at 6, and I'd wake up and feel fine. I'd like, quick, you know when you panic and just check your phone quick, you're like, oh, it's 6, I'm going back to bed. And I'll just be a zombie for the rest of the day, just playing catch up. I still got everything I need to do done, which is good, but it wasn't the best version of myself. So now when I wake up,
That's one thing.
I'm
Like I said to you earlier, I was never a punctual person, was I? I always turn up late to things.
yeah, a little bit.
I would always just be a little bit longer about things. My timekeeping wasn't as good. I wasn't organised.
It's a skill though.
It was, right? And it was just a glaring hole in my game, essentially, right? My MMA game of life and business. That is all that business is MMA of the mind. You know,
Get those reps in.
it really is. It is just a mixed martial arts. You have to be marketing, you have to be talent, you have to be lighting, you have to be editor, you have to be props guy,
Do it all.
you have to be website developer.
Yeah,
You know, as you know, you're doing the lead pages as we speak. So you have to be the Swiss Army knife. So yeah, it's just a reps game. But again, I lost my train of thought. I've been flipping. That's what happens when I'm waffling.
That's right, you're locked in. But yeah, your timekeeping's definitely got better.
Has to.
Yeah.
You know what it was? Sometimes it's just forced. And when I hired a virtual assistant, someone was reliant on me to be consistent with timings. And then I would outsource work with projects to different designers. And then I was working with different artists. And then we're talking deadlines. And then we're talking due dates for things like the pop-up. And I went from being a person that had zero things in their diary ever and zero sort of structure to their life anyway, to someone that had deadlines and invoices and dates
Become
for
an
my
adult.
account
You become
returns.
an adult. I've got an accountant. What the fuck is that?
You actually was talking about this yesterday.
Yeah, you just become an adult. You got to grow up fast. But it's good. It not like it forces you, but organisation. I feel like it's the spice of life and productivity. Like if you can get organised and you do so, and you do everything you need to do in a day, and you sit in bed, you're like, yeah, I fucking I nailed that.
You know why I'm laughing? You went, yeah, becoming an adult, we're growing up fast. I couldn't help but think, I'll be lying if I didn't say I did an Easter egg hunt this very weekend.
You know, it's a balance. Growing up is also a trap in terms of how you act. Right? Sit in a 9
I'm
to
gonna
5
be
all
real.
day.
I'm gonna be real, and I'm gonna speak, and we listen and we don't judge.
That's it. 100%.
We listen and we don't judge, right? I went a few years with no one tells you when's gonna be your last Easter egg hunt.
Yeah.
And I used to love my Easter egg hunts. My mum used to paint the eggs. She used to make little poems about where the next egg was and poke it through the eggs. And then there would be cool little prizes along the way. Yeah,
My
yeah.
family aren't organised.
She always did that for me for everything. But it was exciting. I used to like it. I didn't even like chocolate that much, to be fair. I never was always that kid, so I used to be sweets or something.
The whole process of it. Yeah.
But I just enjoyed it. And then it stopped for a few years. And I said, Mum, I'm going to be real. We're going to need to bring the hunt back.
Yeah. let me be a kid again.
That was like, we need this back. There's some things that I think we can just adultify. So this time it wasn't quite Kinder eggs, but it was an M&S roasted and salted nut selection. And mate, it was phenomenal. I did 1,800 calories last night.
Good work.
One sitting.
That's good work.
I didn't feel great.
Not great work.
I didn't feel great.
But it is true. Sometimes growing up is a bit of a trap, you know. Like I love nothing more than going to the gym, fucking around with the boys, play fighting, bouncing. Do you know what I mean? It's
I'll do it for a little while, at least.
Yeah. Like you still have to tap into that youth a little bit, you know. You don't want to be like all tax returns and invoices as an adult. There's got to be some fun, and there is. Like look at our last 18 months.
Mate, we're
just adults now, and we have our own money. Some.
Have you sat there and sort of thought about the last sort of year for us?
Yeah, I think about it quite a bit.
Do you?
Yeah.
What's it like from your perspective?
It's just it all comes full circle, you know. I do believe in some sort of higher power, or there's some sort of divine intervention where it just maybe you need to sometimes take a slight detour to come back to something, and it will all work itself out in the end if you're doing the right thing every day, you know.
Consistently.
Yeah, and it's just crazy, right? Like when we started creating content, I was probably more MMA than you were more fitness. Now I'm more fitness, and you're definitely more MMA.
Didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it flipped completely.
I really didn't even think of that.
Flipped 180.
I'm leaning back into fitness though. I've started enjoying it again.
That's it.
But in a different way.
Yeah.
In a different way. I started enjoying just sort of documenting the Muay Thai, documenting training legs, documenting doing some pull-ups, you know, rather than what I did before, which was
trying to educate more so.
Yeah.
It's tough. It can not take the fun out of it a little bit, but it's like I just want to do what I'm doing, not tell everyone else about it or educate them, kind of thing. I do like that. If I can help people, I find that I'm doing good in the world. If I can help people lose weight or understand something better, then I think it's putting good into the world. But yeah, it's just crazy how it's flipped, right? Full 180, 360.
But you got to think. Yeah, but you got to think about it on top of that. In November, October, this is the thing. This is why I wanted to get back into the podcast, because I was thinking I want to document the brand more. I want to document the behind the scenes, what's going on, because we don't talk about it on live podcasts too much consistently, all the little details that are going on in our lives. But I want to look back on it in 10 years when we're chilling and having steaks and a barbecue and watch what we were getting up to 10 years ago and put
Yeah.
on our podcast.
Yeah, it's great to document it.
And it's just so happens that people will listen and people will watch it.
Yeah, like, well, you're not going to watch a vlog where we're in China watching a UFC fighter. And I know as a consumer, if I wasn't us, I would watch that. But I'll watch that.
Yeah.
What's going on in China? Let me see the behind the scenes of the UFC in China. Like, of course.
Yeah.
Like, so we're blessed for the opportunities that we have, but they're also not given to us.
No.
Definitely not.
I think sometimes people, whether it's yourself, whether it's me, whether it's things that we do together or ways that we know other people, I think sometimes people don't quite realise how deeply rooted things are, if that makes sense.
In what sense?
In ways that different dynamics are so entwined through so many years and so many weird dynamics the fact that someone comes up to me and says, oh, you know him, the white monster guy, and then they don't know I know you, and then they say, oh, you know him, that's Lonnie Kavanagh, and they don't know I know him, that you, do you know what I mean? It's just the strangest dynamic that we got to that point in what, sort of 4 years.
Yeah, with a brief hiatus from myself, but we're back. We're definitely back, and it's fun. It's fun. It's strange. It's a bit trippy, but it's great. Even the fact that we all ended up in China together, kind of on our own, sort of separate journeys. Obviously, Lon's fighting. Oscar had a situation where he'd come in some money, so he was like, "Oh, I'll come China." I was like, "Oh, I kind of live with Lon and also really want to go China, so I'll come." And it was all kind of drafted in my kitchen. It was like, "Should we just go China?" I was like, "Yeah, I think we should."
100%.
I think we should.
I'm so glad that you did as well, because we were able to go to Hong Kong afterwards.
Yeah.
That's just fun to have on camera and look back on in 15 years. That's when I look at that footage. That's what always makes me happy. I just think if I can create podcasts, if I can create videos that me and you would look back on in 10 years, or me and my friends or family or whatever it is, and enjoy, then that's actually what I'm doing it for, because realistically, you're always going to be able to monetize down the road at whatever that is. And if you're good enough, more than likely off that content itself.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just crazy. I think about being grey and old a lot. Like, and then
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't think about that
not
much.
in a bad way, but if I have like a fight and I'm nervous, I'll be like, yeah, but think of the fight as a percentage of your life. It's pretty fucking small. It's not like 0.0001%, 9-minute fight.
True.
And then you're grey and old and you sat in your rocking chair, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember when I went down to Bournemouth and fought that geezer. I remember when I went to Miami and punched the fuck out of Oscar Willis. I remember that. That was fun.
Tell me the card. What is this?
I want to fight him. I want to fight Oscar Willis in Miami in karate combat. That's what I want to do. I've watched him. He's fought bare knuckle. He's got some skills. He had an MMA fight. He's got some skills. I don't think he'd fight me MMA, but he's had more striking experience than me. I'm a grappler. I think he's perfect. I think he's around my weight. If he wants to fight heavier, we'll fight heavier. But I want to make a splash on that circuit. I think why not? I think the content's there. The views are there. The people are invested. Karate Combat, I spoke to them. They want to do it. So I think he's the perfect dance partner. He's got Craig Jones. He's got Dan Hooker. Also, quickly on Dan Hooker, did you see his event yesterday? I'll fight him in that. Like, that'd be hilarious.
What's it called?
I don't actually know. It looks like a nightclub and it's just kicked off and they happen to have MMA gloves on them.
That's a message to Dan Hooker. He needs to make the name of that organisation shorter, because it was about 4 parts. I can't remember it.
Yeah.
But I did
Looked
see that.
Crazy, like mental.
The thing is with that call out, right? That's actually a good fight.
Yeah.
That's actually a good matchup.
Yeah.
He's decent.
Yeah.
He's trained for MMA. He did that bare knuckle that he obviously won.
And he's up for a scrap.
He's up for a scrap. He's up for a bet.
Yeah.
He's up for some viral content.
Yeah.
And he's up for a bit.
Yeah.
And he's probably, if he's with Craig Jones, up for a nose bit. Now, we wouldn't partake.
No, but
at
a
all.
face beer I'll have.
What's a face bit?
Just a normal beer. But yeah, I'll get matching tattoos with him. Like, I really will. His sunglasses are called, what, Oscar and Frank? That's our names. My shades versus yours. Like, let's go. Casuals Corner versus the Mac Life. You got a UFC fighter. I've got a UFC fighter. I haven't got a Craig Jones. I'm working on it, but...
We got an Ash Grimshaw.
Ash Grimshaw. Number 1 will fight him.
This is top trumps lined
Yeah,
up. This
yeah,
is why
yeah.
Oscar Willis is legitimately the perfect dance partner. Because not only is it a fun matchup, not only does he get the game,
Yeah.
not only is it just 1-for-1 opposing sides.
Yeah.
That's the fun of it, right?
Yeah.
We go against it. Who makes the better content? Who has the better fight? You know, just have a little bit of a joke with it.
Yeah.
But decent scrap in the middle. Ben the Bane Davis.
Yeah.
He had a good fight with Oscar Willis. That was actually a good standard of bare knuckle, I thought.
Yeah. Yeah, he can definitely fight a bit. Like, objectively, I think I'll smoke him, but I don't think it will be an easy fight for me necessarily. But I want to fight. Do you know what I mean? My last one, where I had an MMA fight and it was a war, that was the most rewarding. I want nothing more than to be a bit bloodied up, a bit bruised up, sat on the strip in Miami, loads of money in my account, and we'll go get matching tattoos. Like, I'll do it 100%. I want press conferences. I'll walk out in the shades. I want cowboy hats. I want it all. I want the big stages, and I want the big fights. And I'll never be someone that's like talking shit. I want it to be. It's organic. I want to have fun with it.
Yeah.
I want to just run with it and see how far we can go. And I think he's perfect.
I don't actually think people get. I said this to you from early, and people say, "Oh, it's because I'm your friend." As you know, when I say things like this is objectively speaking. I wouldn't go out my way to say otherwise. It is such a perfect lane for you.
Yeah, I think so.
I've said this 100 times, right? I said this when you had your last fight, even just after. I said, you've really got two options. And I guess this is where our relationship as manager and athlete began. I said, you've really got two options here, right? You could stay as an amateur fighter and you can fight these guys that are actually very skilled, tough, and train with a lot of good people and probably want to do it professional these days.
Yeah.
Or you can go and fight people that will train and will take it seriously, but aren't doing it as their livelihood.
Yeah.
And you can make more money
More
on a
rivals.
bigger stage with more fans and louder noise.
Yeah.
Where you can be a bit more loose.
Yeah. It's a no-brainer, really.
It's a no-brainer,
It's a
right?
no-brainer,
That's why I said to you. And then when you did that one video with the monster guy, I just said, Frank, that did really well.
Do it again.
Do it again.
Yeah.
And then I just said, you are the white monster guy.
And even with that llast fight in terms of promo, I didn't even mean to promote it that much. It was just organic to me. I was like, oh, hey guys, I'm fighting. My opponent's changed. I've now got 5-0, undefeated wrestler from Afghanistan. Cheers, Volkanite. That's the call you want, right? Oh, your 0-1 opponent's dropped out. We've got a 5-0. No, he was 1-0, I think. But he was a judo guy. I was like, what's he going to fucking toss me on my head? I'm going to smoke him and get some clips. And then I was like, we've got another guy. He's 5-0. He's got 4 first-round finishes. And I think he came out of Afghanistan last week. I'm like, oh, an absolute killer from a war-torn country. Yeah, give me him. No one wanted to fight him. I went, why not? And it went all right. I should have finished him, but...
I want the judo blue belt.
He's just turned 17, so he is an adult.
he just took the pads off the belly.
Full headband.
I actually didn't realise that. That's actually funny. But that's when I realised for the first time, all jokes aside, when I realised it shifted for me, is that person did come over and go, Casual's Corner. Can I have a photo? I was like, someone come up to you, the white monster. And then obviously Lon was packed. And I just thought, okay, that's bubbling away nicely.
Yeah.
That's cool. But then when you went in the cage and all of their promotion is around you, I'm making videos about the marketing for it, then the British MMA scene is picking it up and then it's going big. And then you're getting 20 million views a month.
Yeah.
You're in Lincoln having an amateur fight, creating 10 million views.
Yeah. Wait till we double down.
Wait until we double down in a promotion that wants to jump on board. That's why we've hit up Karate Combat. We've spoke to the matchmakers already.
They love it.
They love it. They get it. I know Asim relatively well in regards to how I know he likes to operate business and how he likes to create content and how he likes to drive narratives and have fun with creative. He's all about that.
Yeah. I just think, let's do it. Let's get the gi trousers on, let's tie our belts, and let's have a ding-dong. Oscar Willis.
What was the... No, I've just 180'd here, but I haven't asked you. From your perspective, what did you think firstly, thank you with the pop-up, actually, because I was watching the videos back and I realised that you such a crazy week for me. I didn't really absorb it from so many details, so it actually kind of was. It wasn't a blur, but it was almost a blur. And then I watched the videos back, and you helped me with the speaker, which I apologise for because that was flipping so difficult. We rock up, and it's the massive
It's like
speaker.
twice the size of my car.
And I
So we
thought,
got a boombox.
I felt so terrible that day because I was just so rushed and stressed, and that was the first time in a long time that I hadn't been organised with something because there was so much going on.
Got it done.
Yeah, and then you helped me set up.
I support the mission.
And then helped me with the bags and everything as well, so I appreciated that, and also gave me some good social clips.
Got it done.
What was it like from the outside? Well, obviously you were in the inside, but you know what I mean.
The pop up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool.
What did you think of it?
Yeah, I liked it a lot. The format was cool. I realised that Sean and Adam had like some of my videos. Sean had like some of my videos, so we communicated a little bit. But I watched his content before I even knew you were like friends with him or like associated, for want of a better term. And same with Adam. He's always like the Scottish guy. Is always talking about, here's Paul Craig's S&C. And I'm like, oh, I know these guys. And then yeah, it was great. We got pizzas. The art was sick. The art was crazy.
True.
Have you still got the long one?
I do. I actually need him to pick it up.
Yeah, we'll do something for that, definitely.
I need to give you the t-shirt.
That's right.
Oh, I'll give it to you tomorrow.
Yeah, sweet.
I'll give it to you tomorrow. What would you change?
The pop up?
Yeah. You can be critical.
No, I don't know really. Can you do it in that venue again?
I don't know.
Yeah, maybe a smaller venue would have been better.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, because people were a bit
more
sat back
congested.
and there's a little bit gap in the middle. But like, that's not on you. That's just how it worked out.
I did think that. I actually did think that because obviously I did it in Manchester before where it was smaller, and I actually had that quite nicely. It was quite perfect. But then equally, I also did think, well, at least it gives people a bit of space to go and have a corner with their mates and whatnot. And I kind of like that sometimes when it opens up the venues, and it maybe isn't quite as. Now this is probably what I just say because it was because there was more space, but no, I do agree with you. But also it's just the aesthetic and the fact it was in the Toe Wrestling HQ. I couldn't not. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't ever going to be like, I actually think there'll be a better venue down the road. I was like, no.
That is the spot.
You talk about full circle. I get the t-shirts off of the guy. I don't know if you know this. So the first ever West Ham game I went to, right, was with Dan, his dad, and his mates.
Nice.
So it was this guy called Ant. He owns a t-shirt designing company, which was opposite the Toe Wrestling HQ, called Casual Tees.
Full circle.
Casual Tees, right? The next road, next to, which is in Bethnal Green, which is next to Hackney, which is where I used to work in the t-shirt factory when I was 18. Yeah. So it was just an insane sort of loop as well.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind Bethnal Green, where my entire family lineage is from. Yeah. So it was just so bizarre to me on Bethnal Green roads. It was actually nuts. I feel like it's been a flipping wild few months. Yeah. Shall we wrap it up?
Yeah. But the months are about to get wilder. We want Miami.
Yeah. Hard. When is that?
June.
June. That's coming up quick.
Yeah. I'm ready now. If I had to bet, Oscar Willis is probably still in Miami from the UFC over the weekend. So just stay there, train a bit, have some beers. You want to fight me heavy? Sure, feel free.
What's your plan B? What's your plan C? What's your plan D?
I'll box.
You got any names? Other names?
I want to get on Crypto Fight Week. There's one in Dubai. Misfits, I'd jump on. But in terms of names, now Oscar Willis are at the top of my list. I'll be transparent.
Any other names?
Not off the top of my head.
I said to...
We just need one. We need one. And once we're in the door, people are going to be like, oh.
That's literally what I was about to say. I said the other day to the fella that we're speaking to, obviously at Crypto Fight League, and I said to him, honestly, whoever bites the bullet the first... first will just be the trailblazers in regards to that will open the floodgates, and people go, oh, okay, yeah, can you come on our card?
Yeah.
No one will do it from as many angles, than we will.
Yeah.
Because this is what we said, right? When we said with Oscar and the Maclaf and whatnot, and that is all very valid points, but you have to think of it from our perspective, right? You have your brand behind it, which is the one that's actually competing. You have the white monster guy competing. Then in the corner, you have Lon.
Yeah.
So we just include him and Ash, which will likely be some of the corners in the week with the content of GBTV.
Yeah.
I then publicize it as through my own content, and I promote it myself, just as much as I want and as much as you want. And then call in a few favors from a few media outlets and whatnot to cover a few things, then make a little YouTube on it, a few more behind the scenes, and then all of a sudden we've got 10 million views.
Yeah.
And we're on the undercard of an influencer fight league.
Yeah, we need one. We need one.
We need one. And then people will say, oh, okay, I understand it. It makes a lot of sense. And then it's going to be yesterday's price is not today's price.
Well, up the ante. I'm trying to get paid, have fist fights.
Honestly, that's the thing, right? Got a message the other day as well. I got a few messages though. Like people have been taking interest. We've got a few nibbles, but we've not got a bite yet.
We'll get it.
We've not got a bite, but we just stay patient. I don't think it's a bad thing at all. I think if you just get your recovery good, just get healthy.
Yeah.
You know, what could you do to recover better?
Maybe my sleep a little bit. I eat good protein. I did say today I wanted the massage. Feeling a bit tense.
Soft bath, hot bath.
Cold bath maybe.
Cold bath.
Yeah, especially now the weather's getting nice.
Do you shower?
I shower.
Yeah. It's because sometimes people go all baths. I haven't had a bath in decades.
Oh.
Real talk, I've not had a bath in
I don't mind a bath.
in like,
I trick myself to a little bath sometimes.
nah.
Nice.
Honestly, I can't do it.
Yeah,
But what I have started doing, end of every shower, cold water.
You're built diff. Yeah, I can't hack it first thing.
You know what it is? I used to be the anti cold water guy. I would just say I would rather be a bitch and not do it. I would just say that. I said to myself, right, okay, if I'm not going to do anything, I go 1 second off.
Yeah.
I went 1 second
Tease it.
until it was 2.
Yeah.
2 was 10, and then now I count to 36 some days.
Nice.
And just cold, frosty.
Yeah, it does wake you up.
You know what it is? I know this. I don't know if this sounds a bit morbid. I just stand there and I think, I'm so grateful that I have working nerve receptors to feel this cold. I'm so grateful that it's running down my spine, that's attached to my legs, which are that I'm attached to my core, which is holding my pelvis. Do you know what I mean? It's just, that's how I try and shift it. And I'm not even going to lie, I also always think back, when it's cold water, I always think back to Fiji, where they have no running water and it's just buckets. And the nights get cold there in the winter, even though the days are hot. So it's freezing cold and it's 6 a.m. and it's boom, cold buckets and it's not running water. And I think I've seen that and I've got running water. So I was like, that's a win, you know, as well. So that, I do think that's always a good perspective. But yeah. Anything to add before we wrap up?
No, I think we're good. I think we're set.
Yeah, that was good work. We didn't really start anywhere. We didn't really end anywhere.
No, we
just kind of went with that.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah, I'll probably sign it off as the Casuals Corner podcast. I'm gonna look to try and get one of these in every 2 weeks.
Yeah,
I think put one on yours, one on mine, and just alternate them every couple of weeks. I think that you should keep the Shed Talks. Yeah. I keep the branding of that as the podcast. Yeah, just keep that on. Yeah. That's already on yours. I used to love the name, and I still do.
Yeah,
I still do. Yeah,
Shed Talks.
I love TED Talks if it's a good one, right? Yeah. So I always do like that, and I mean, we are the Shed Talks.
We're talking in the shed.
For probably an IQ level a few below the TED Talks. That's actually
there's
true.
A demographic there.
We just function different ways.
Yeah.
You know. Just on a slightly different age demographic.
Yeah, but we're
different age demographic.
We're here.
I feel like I just developed a list. I just gave up.
Sometimes the words.
It just slurred, and I thought I can't even
keep
be bothered to redo
cracks.
that.
Yeah.
Do you?
I had like 3 in the pod.
What, this one?
Yeah, keep them in.
You've done a lot more pods recently.
Yeah.
I've been happy to see that.
Squeeze the neck. Casuals Corner. Combat Kings. I should probably drop them a message.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm going to speak to them actually this week because I've been meaning to do an episode with them for ages.
Yeah.
I think you should 100% go down there, go to their new studio. I'll talk to them about it
Yeah.
actually. Weirdly enough, talk again. It's all full circle. This, weirdly enough, I've known them since pretty much the start of this journey, because when I went to my first ever event, which was UFC London, I was in a hospitality box with Moggy of all people, right? And in the box next to us was those group of
Combat
boys, yeah. And I was chatting to them there, and that was at UFC London, the first ever one. So it's kind of crazy as well. Now they're in a sick setup and they're
Really? They're
smashing
doing
it.
well from it,
Yeah,
yeah.
they've got a really cool studio now. They've got a little bit of backing, I believe.
Nice.
Obviously, I don't know too many details, but they've
Sure.
got a nice
They're
new
going in the
studio,
right
and yeah, of
direction.
course,
Yeah, nice.
which they were always going to, right? They had a vision for what wasn't there, which was 100%, which was a sort of voice for the streets for MMA,
Yeah.
and especially in the UK, right?
Yeah.
I thought that is the sickest concept,
Yeah.
and they are all diehard fans and they're all grafters as well. So yeah, it's cool to see them actually do good. Someone asked me today. They said, "Oh, is it important to go to uni? Do I need to do journalism?" They said, "Shall I try and get an apprenticeship and all these different things?" And I just said, "Mate, in today's market,
Yeah.
with things like that,
Yeah, there's no.
you just do it yourself,
Yeah.
whatever you want to do, and
Squint your
however,
eyes and look
yeah,
at your own
squint your
reality.
eyes,
Yeah,
right?
it's real.
It's just however you want to do it. The old school versions of journalism, sure, they still exist, but
It's a different age.
it's just understand media, understand how to leverage it, understand how
It's
to
a game.
distribute
It's a
it,
game.
understand how to increase your output of quantity per week
Yeah.
of it,
Yeah.
you know, or maybe reduce it and leverage that more,
Max
whatever
out
it
the
may
stats
be.
in the
So
game.
yeah, that's a good place to wrap it. Right, it's been Casuals Corner podcast. That's been the White Monster guy. Back, Shed Talks / sort of collaboration. First one in what, 4 years?
Literally.
Do you remember the number of the last one?
I can look now.
Yeah,
Bear
have
with
a little
people.
look. So we can actually sign it off with the full number. I reckon we've been running about 47 minutes. That's sip jet to you.
This
47.
would be number 6.
Number 6. That would be Hawk. Episode number Hawk. Keep it casual.